What young guns are being slept on this summer? Both Anthony and I will give you three players that we think are worth a little bit more than what they're going for. We'll talk about that and some of the big releases still to come this summer. This is episode 15 of the Hockey Card Haven podcast. Hello and welcome. This is the Hockey Card Haven podcast with Mike Distefano and Anthony Santini, here to dive deep into the world of hockey card collecting, flipping, and investing. What's going on, Anth? How you feeling on a Wednesday?
What's up, buddy? Feeling pretty good. Short week this week. We had the Monday off. I know you want to get into the show that you went to on Monday in Hamilton. Always a good little outing there. So I'm excited to hear about that because I know we didn't go back and forth about that. But short week, almost Friday. Tomorrow's Thursday, and dude, I'm fired up. Little episode in the bag right now, and I know we're a little bit delayed, but we're still ready to go.
Still ready to go. Still going to get an episode out here, obviously. And yes, I attended the card show in Hamilton this past weekend. Decent show. I think I ended up coming away with, a bunch of little things. I did my dollar box thing and grabbed some other sports, but I got a decent little lot of hockey as well. So we'll save those for the end of the show when we do our weekly pickups. But what we want to do today, it's the summer, and there's not a whole lot of like breaking news to really talk about and discuss. But one thing that we like to do here in the summer that we'll always preach is the summer's a good time to buy. And it's a good time to buy up on your young guns. And while everyone's kind of sleeping, everyone's away, no one's on eBay to get the snipes in, you be the sniper. You be the one at the shows going out there on Civic long Monday, on the Monday and picking up these cards, right? That's what true flippers and investors are able to do. So we've got a list of three players each that we believe are worth investing in for the upcoming season. Guys who, are either slept on right now or guys who we believe will be put in a better position to succeed next year. And their prices are pretty low at this moment and, can easily rise. So why don't we get this party started? Anth, give me your first player that you believe has some value that you're picking up.
I know we picked three of them, and in no particular order, I'll start off with Cole Perfetti, who you'll see a trend with the players that we've picked all being around, I believe it was under $50. We kept that pretty steady for the PSA 10 value. And to start off with Cole Perfetti, watching this guy grow up, he used to play my age group, AAA, great player. And for him to be looking at now the Winnipeg roster that, he struggled on, quite frankly, last year. And I feel like he hasn't reached that true potential that he's, thought out to be. And at the start of last year, that second line center position was kind of it was dangling like a carrot waiting for him, right? And as the season moved on, couple trades, couple different moves and shifts to the lineup, he started to trickle down. And I don't even think he ended up playing a game in the playoffs. Now, it sucks. I mean, even now looking at it, he's going to be a restricted free agent. He needs a big year. So for me, I think Cole Perfetti is he's going to be a good little pickup if you're grabbing him this offseason.
Well, he's cheap enough now. Like at a PSA 10 in the
Sure.
40, $50 if you can get him for that cheap, he's a worthwhile bet. I mean, the grading fee alone is like $35, and if you luck out and get a PSA 10, it only adds like another $10-15 onto that. Like you might as well, if you're gonna pick up a Cole Perfetti and think about sending it in, thinking that there could be some long-term value to his cards, you might as well just go pick it up in an already established PSA 10 for pretty cheap, and you don't have to worry about hoping and praying that it comes back a 10 anyway. So Cole Perfetti is one player that you had on your list. Give me the other two players that you're looking at, or give me one more player, I guess, and then we'll keep it going. But the next guy on your list for young breakout potential players that you're investing in this summer.
So keeping that same trend, Mississauga area, and even to like creep into your area of Niagara Falls, Philip Tomasino, who was so good for the Niagara Ice Dogs, I feel like he's still a couple years away from being that offensive threat that he was made out to be. But he struggled the past 2 years to be able to crack that Nashville lineup we saw last year. He was sent down a couple times, and still I find his prices to be cheap. $40 to $50 in a PSA 10, very popular player that can score, but I feel like, Tomasino, quite frankly, is going to be traded from Nashville. There's been so many rumors, and just look at how many right shot forwards are now on that team with talent, right? We have Evangelista, who's up and coming. We have um, Jonathan Marchessault. We have Steven Stamkos. Like, there's not too much room for Tomasino. So I think in the coming years, he's going to have that, breakout season soon to come.
Yeah, I mean, Tomasino's a guy that I've picked up a little bit just being in the Niagara area. I don't know how much I'm willing to invest on like higher end cards on this guy though. Like he's been given opportunity. It's kind of really like, poop or get off the pot in a way for Tomasino. Hopefully a change of scenery does help. That's kind of going to be the hope there, but he's an interesting player. There was a lot of people who thought Tomasino was going to be a really good player coming out of the OHL. Hasn't quite been able to hit right for the Nashville Predators, and they've since gone and picked up a couple of goal scoring wingers. So we'll see if there's a spot for Tomasino. Who's the next guy on your list?
The last guy, and like I said, no particular order, Arthur Kaliev, who same, strain from that offensive threat, that offensive capability that he brings. Kaliev was good too. I watched him play for the Hamilton Bulldogs, and even one of my good buddies growing up played with him, was on the same team, and said, you know what, he hasn't even come close to the potential that we're seeing in the NHL right now. I don't think, just like Thomas, Kaliev's going to find that, offensive caliber when it comes to bringing it to the LA Kings. But down the road, another player who for 40, 50, maybe even cheaper, just particularly the price of grading, you could get him in a PSA 10. I feel like Kaliev could be a good snipe when it comes, February, and he's on that TSN trade bait list coming into, early March, I believe, when the trade deadline is, and all eyes are kind of on him to see where he's going to move to.
It's crazy because he was another one coming out of the Ontario League, scored like 40 or 50 goals in his draft year, and everyone thought that he was going to be like a top half of the first round player. And he just continued to fall and fall and fall. I think he ended up being the first pick in the second round, fell out of the first round, and everyone called it a draft day steal. Well, here you are a few years later. The guy still hasn't made a mark in the NHL, but the talent is there for sure. So he's another one of those guys where it's all right. If he gets an opportunity elsewhere, if you got a couple of him lying around. I remember when he was part of, was he 2020, 2021 extended?
Extended, yeah, yeah,
He was the chase product. He was a chase
yeah,
to the product
yeah.
at that point when it got released. That's how people thought of Arthur Kaliev. And now, he's unfortunately at the time his PSA 10 prices are going for what they went for raw on
Yeah,
release day. That's
I was
that's
gonna say,
what happened.
yeah, even like release day prices were like 40, $50, same range that is now for PSA 10, but even like trickled down the road 2, 3, 4, even like 6 months after, I still remember him being like a $10 to $15 young gun. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that he was, always a dollar young gun. I think now he's still in that $1 to $5 range, but he's trending towards a dollar, which could be a good time to definitely pick up some Arthur Kaliev come September.
Yeah, so Anthony went super, super like cheap, low end. Let's grade these bad boys and hope that they burst, and then we'll be in a good place. I went for a little bit more established players. So he had kind of the rookies, the up and comers. I had more of an established vets on my list that I decided to go with. So the first one that I really like that I've been picking a bunch of his cards up. Actually, I've picked up a couple of his, PSA Young Guns, and also picked up his Future Watch auto and a couple other rookie autos as well. It's Shane Pinto of the Ottawa Senators. He's a 21-22 Series 1 Young Gun. Currently, his PSA value is roughly between $45 and $55. So, like in that $50 range for a PSA 10 for Pinto. His last three sales were $44, $46, and $85. That $85 sale seemed a little random though, I will
Yeah.
say. So I don't know if you're going to try and verify that price, it may be a bit fishy because the 10 sales before that were all between like 45 and $55. So you kind of throw away that 85 sale and just say, all right, the value is around like $50, 50, $55. I think it's a good price for Shane Pinto. Like his market got hit hard last year when the gambling suspension came through.
Yeah.
The Senators, by the time he came back, kind of out of the playoff hunt at that point, he just didn't drive any hobby love at all. But he's only 23 years old. I think he ended up still getting 27 points through 41 games last year, jumping on that moving train midway through the season. I think this could be a good breakout year for him. He had 20 goals in 2022 as a 21-year-old. I think he has an opportunity to go out there and be a solid top six contributor for the Ottawa Senators. You always got bad health when it comes to Josh Norris. That's always a concern. Is Stützle better on the wing, perhaps, than he is at center? Like that could be a nice, massive bump for a guy like Shane Pinto to become a number one, at worst, number two center for an Ottawa Senators team that plans on going into the playoffs. So for $50, I think you look at a guy like Shane Pinto and there's some love there. That's a good player. And his pop report's not all that high. Just 335 PSA 10s right now at a 35% gem rate. So it's not easy to grade his cards and get that PSA 10. So if you could pick them up at a relatively cheap price, like Pinto at one point was going for like $80-$90 previous to the suspension. So, I think that if that's in the past and no one really thinks about that, he starts to perform like people think he can at just 23 years old. There's still a lot of growth left in his game. So I like Shane Pinto as an option here. Picking up his PSA 10s might be something worthwhile for sure. You like Pinto?
I mean, even to consider how much cheaper he is now. Do you remember last year? I don't know if we were at the show together. I was setting up, maybe it was by myself. It was one of the shows where I had like my big case of Dylan Gunthers. I probably had like 30 Gunthers in the one case. Maybe you were there. I think you were there. I don't think we were set up together beside each other, but I did a 1-for-1 swap, Shane Pinto for Trevor Zegras PSA 10, like 10 for 10, because the values were the exact same at the time. I think Pinto was almost $100 and Zegras was near like 110. Maybe I added a couple bucks, but to see Pinto at $40-$50 right now, that is ridiculously cheap. And even
It's
like
good value.
his worst days have almost, knock on wood, passed. Like he's kind of got all that, stuff out of the way. It's happened. He had a little bit of a down year last year, coming back with a slow start. Played okay. I think you mentioned 20 goals last year that he had, or was that the year prior?
The year prior, he had 20. He had 27 points last year, but he had 20 goals as a 21-year-old the season before.
And
So
for a Senators team that struggled big time, I mean, it's only up for here for Shane Pinto, and I'll definitely pick him up too if I see him in that range, and hopefully, we're able to snipe some more.
yeah, I like that one a lot. Another player who's in a very similar situation, I think, who has a lot of opportunity to get on the radar of some sports fans, some hockey fans, some hockey card collectors. Super Fabian Zetterlund. And I believe in the past I've talked about him being a good value buy, and I still believe that to be the case. He's a 21-22 extended series Young Guns guy. So if you want to buy his box or whatever, that's where it's going to come from. But you can get his PSA 10 right now for like $35. Like I don't understand why it's so cheap. Like he's a guy who had 20 goals last year, 24 goals last year, rather, 44 points. He's only 23 years old. Like he's someone who I think you bring in Celebrini onto that team, that's automatically going to just put a lot more eyeballs in that market, which means that people are going to start paying attention more to Fabian Zetterlund. And if he pops, like, he's got such a low pop report, just 24 PSA 10s, 24. That's it. So if he does pop next to Celebrini and those two kind of turn into a nice 1-2 punch, a little good young duo down in San Jose, it'll kind of be a race to the market. And, because there'll be so little of them, supply and demand is going to work out. It'll end up being a seller's market for them. And if you're one of the few 24 people who own a PSA 10 of Fabian Zetterlund, I mean, at just a $35 entry rate, I think that's a pretty good buy. And I was even taking a look to make sure, okay, can he replicate this? Because he, 25 goals is a pretty good year in the NHL. Can he replicate that, or was that a one off? He only had 11% shooting last year. That's easily replicable. So I think Fabian Zetterlund could be a 24 to 25 goal guy. You put him on a team with better players, maybe that even allows him to grow into his game, and he'll end up scoring some more goals. And maybe he's a 30 goal guy. And at $35 for a PSA 10 seems like a no brainer to me.
It's crazy upside too because we've talked about players on the Sharks for weeks now. We talked about Bordlow, obviously, talked about Will Smith, talked about Celebrini, talked about even I believe Tyler Toffoli, who's headed to the Sharks. Like I think they're going to be a pretty good team, and to pick up Zetterlund for such a cheap price. I mean, low pop. You're not going to see him all the time, and when he does pop off, because it's going to happen. He already popped off last year, considering his age and the team that he was on. He has that potential to be a 30-plus goal scorer, and we know
Yeah.
just exactly what the hobby loves. They love goal scorers, and what are you going to do when you're sitting on Zetterlund PSA 10s? You're going to sell them, and you're going to sell them for a premium. Why? Because look at that pop count. 24, you said? Ridiculous.
Yeah. There's just like not many out there at all. Just 24 PSA 10s. There's no Beckett 9.5s. Funny enough, too. But the highest Beckett was a Beckett 9. Now, again, we're talking post pandemic, so not a lot of people sent to Beckett, which is why everyone pretty much sent, the 21, 22 class up to PSA, but only 24 of them, just a 57% gem rate. And it's because he was somebody who really wasn't, it came out and extended, so it comes out in the summer. Someone who was slept on. He's technically in a New Jersey Devils uniform. That's where he made his debut, and then he was traded as part of the Timo Meyer trade. So he's, not wearing a Sharks uniform. He just kind of gets slept on a little bit. But I think at $35, that's a good buy in a PSA 10 for sure. I've been picking up Zetterlands in the $2 bin for a while now, and I think he's not going to become a $200 Young Guns by any stretch of the imagination. I don't believe. But hey, you pick up a $2 Young Gun, eventually, he starts popping off. All of a sudden, it's $10. Hey, you 5x your money. And if you want to 5x your $35 investment, and all of a sudden that $35 5x's to 150, you are ecstatic when it comes to a Fabian Zetterlund. It only doubles. Hey, now you got a $100 card on your hands. So Fabian Zetterlund is another pickup for me. You got something to say?
I was gonna say, I mean, even though it might be cheap, and like you said, he's never gonna be a $200 guy. Like we saw with Tage Thompson too a couple years ago, where a dollar guy went to what? I mean, it was a little bit
Actually, he
ridiculous.
he got ridiculous, but that was also like the market was crazy at that point. Like that
Yeah,
one got pretty silly and pretty stupid, but that was more so, I think, a reflection of the market. But yes, he went from a dollar to like being a
60.
$150 raw young
Was
gun.
it
It was
150? That's
like a
crazy.
hundred, maybe $100 raw young gun, but still, it was wild.
Yeah, that was a crazy time. I don't think we're in those times anymore, but like you said, the potential is there for goal scorers. We talk about it all the time. The opportunity for them to succeed in the market of the hobby. People love the goal scorers, and Zetterlund's just that guy. So I didn't even have Zetterlund on my radar. I mean, it could be, I'll throw a little jab here. It could be because he's not wearing the rookie jersey for the team that he's playing on right now. Take that little jab and, accept of it what you will. But maybe his prices could be a little bit more if he was wearing the rookie jersey, because that's been my argument for I think what 15 episodes plus right
And this
now.
is and this is where I don't understand your logic. I just don't understand your logic.
You know what? I will say though
But you
that
want to know, but like, do you understand why I don't understand your logic?
why? Oh,
What's your whole point about Phil Tomasino? Is he
hey, he
gonna
could
make
get he could get moved, and same with Kaliev too, and
don't you want
Perfetti
them to
actually.
get moved?
Perfetti could.
Isn't that part of your argument is if they get moved, they'll get more opportunity, thus be a better player
Hey,
and
you
be
know
worth
what?
more money? Isn't that your argument?
You know what? I'm not always right, but I've never been wrong. So in this situation, I'll say I might not be right, but I'm definitely not wrong. And you know what?
I don't
You know
know.
what? You know what I'll say? If you
Paige
are,
Thompson says hello, but anyway.
yeah, cheers. And and either way with Zetterlund too, if you're looking in the expo a couple months down the road, if you're flipping through bins, if you go look up Fabian Zetterlund's Young Guns, the look of it isn't something that, you know, I feel like he's from extended. It's not a Young Gun that you see
He is.
usually on Instagram. It's not
Yeah.
something you see in display cases or even, quite frankly, in top loaders. It's that cheap. So if you are looking for him, you'll probably find him. If people are even looking for Zetterlund Young Guns, the picture and what it looks like isn't something you usually see. So
And he's a 24 goal scorer at 24 years old.
yeah,
Those guys should be worth at least $5-10 raw. You can get them in a dollar bin all day long. Trust me, I've picked up at least 8 of them in like the dollar, $2 bins. I like Fabian Zetterlund. He's a guy I'm willing to roll the dice on. I think he's in the right market, a young up and coming team, and they will be relying on him to pot 25 or so a year for a very long time. So the last player that I've got on my list of top young gun buys of the summer, I stretched the dollar amount on this one, but I think he's getting to a point where he's an absolute buy. It's Elias Pettersson, Anthony. 2018, 2019 Series 1 Young Gun. Um, he's done 52% since Expo weekend. Now, Expo, we were there at the November Expo, that is. His market was insane. Like, he was the big pickup of the weekend that everybody was asking for, right? You got any Pedersen? You got any Pedersen? His card values just rocketed up to like 300, $350 for PSA 10. They're down to $150 right now. $150 for an Elias Pettersson PSA 10. The last 3 sales, 138, 156, and 148. That's pretty cheap for a guy who legitimately 2 years ago had 102 points, who this past season, yes, he had a disastrous second half of the year, and everyone knows that, and that's the big reason for why his prices have dipped. But hey, buy the dip. Buy the dip, people. Buy the dip because, yes, it was a down year. The guy still had like 89 points in 80 games. He still was over a point per game player in a down year. He plays on the right market, big Canadian market in Vancouver. He is the guy. He can be a top 10 player in the National Hockey League. I truly believe it. He's got that type of talent in him. And I really like what the Canucks have done to put some pieces around him. They added Jake DeBrusk in free agency. I think he'll kind of complement him really well. A guy who'll go into the corners and get Pettersson the puck to allow him to do the things that he can do. So I like Pettersson a lot. And I think that we've seen that there's a big market for him when he's doing well that stretch into the 300, 350 range. It may not get back to there at some point, but it certainly could grow quite a bit from $150. Even if it gets to like 225, that's still a pretty good profit margin, right? If you buy some for $150, you sell it for 200. That's 33% profit margins. That's outstanding on an investment like that. So to me, Elias Pettersson, like super slept on at this point. He was a big buy like 9 months ago. And then now he fell off to the point where it's just too good a value not to be picking up some Pattersons if you can get them in that 150 to 160 range.
it's crazy, and it never surprises me. The hobby never surprises me to see the reaction time, how quick it is, how quick they are to judge, and almost snap back and say, whoa, 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 okay, this player has had, a 15, 20 game stretch that hasn't been what they've usually been accustomed to. We saw the same thing too. Remember when Jack Hughes last year, November, was a $500 PSA 10 Young Gun? And then
Mm-hmm.
out of nowhere, don't get me wrong,
He got
got
hurt.
injured. He got injured. Okay. We get it. Still ended the year relatively well. The Devils missed out on the playoffs, but he dropped all the way to like a 250. I think he's even going for like 230, but that's
Well,
almost,
yeah, he's like back up to like 280 because I did look at his price to see like, could we fit him in on this list? But he's
yeah.
he's kind of back into the 283 range, but still nowhere near where he was at 500 like 9 months ago.
It's the same conversation for Pedersen too. Like, remember the contract negotiations, all
Yeah,
the talk, they lock him up long term. They're gearing up for playoffs, this historic run for the Canucks that they haven't seen in so many years, and out of nowhere, Pedersen just doesn't show up.
he's been
I think
pooped.
yeah, dude, it was just
He had 1 goal in 13 playoff games. Like, this is a
I don't
team that took the Edmonton Oilers to 7 games
yeah.
in the second round of the playoffs and only got 1 goal out of Pettersson. Imagine if he would have got 2 or 3, they could have actually won, like beat Edmonton and
Yeah.
went on another run. But I believe in him. I think that he's still a terrific player, and you know, down 52% since Expo weekend. I think we could see him start to climb back up with a hot start to the beginning of the season, I think 150 is just criminally cheap. So he's a big buy for me right now too.
No, for sure. Even the question I was gonna ask you too, because these players are in that same stratosphere, if you want to call it, with prices. I'd say one is a little bit cheaper than the other, but what would you rather have? A collection of Stutzel Young Guns PSA 10s or a collection of
Mhm.
Pedersen Young Guns PSA 10s? Because I feel
Pedersen
like
all day.
Stutzel could be on this list too. Goodbye.
Pedersen all day long.
You're
Not
not a
even
Stu
close.
guy?
I mean, he's fine, but I don't think that he'll reach Pedersen status.
Yeah.
I don't think he can in Ottawa either. Like, and just Vancouver gonna have a much bigger market share.
Yeah, I mean, they're both good markets, both good players, top of their teams. Could be top of their. Could be a conversation we could have soon. Let's save it. We'll keep it in the. We'll keep it in. We'll keep it in the vault. I might have a little bit of a bias there because I might be sitting on a nice little pack of Stutzel's PSA 10s. Let's just keep it at that. But I know you got one more player on your list, I think.
Well, I just got a couple of honorable mentions and some guys who I want to get your thoughts on. And this one in particular, because I did a deal a couple of weeks ago. I think I shared it on the podcast when I was at my trade night, actually. I ended up picking up a Mitch Marner Future Watch Auto. And part of the trade package that I gave up was a Jack Eichel PSA 10 Young Guns. And I think I had like a $200 sticker on it because that's kind of what it was going for the most part last year, especially after Vegas had won, and then it was like a $200 card, 180 ish dollar card, and then we look it up when we're looking up values to make sure that we're correct in our assessments, and he's like, oh, last one sold for $120. Like, really? Jack Eichel's down to $120? That's insane to me. I thought that was criminally low for a Jack Eichel.
That's low. Whoa. I mean, what was he even going for? Remember when you were I'm just trying to remember exactly. What was that? The April show, we were
The
headed into
year
playoffs?
they won the cup, I
Yeah,
picked right. I just didn't sell, unfortunately, at the time, at the right time. But I did pick right where, yes, the year they went on to win the cup, I think was the 22-23 season.
yeah,
They went on to win the Stanley Cup, and I believe I was paying one 160, and that was
yeah,
a
I
pretty
was
good
thinking the
price at the
same.
time. It was like a $170 card at the time. If you could get it at 160, it was a good buy. So I think I bought two of them at that show. And then it peaked during the Stanley Cup playoffs when him and Vegas went on that run to about 250. So that's, again, you look at what the top of the market looks like for a Jack Eichel, it's double what it's going for now at
Yeah.
$125. So Jack Eichel might be a sneaky little buy too, with his market kind of crashing down. It's down 27% year to year.
I mean, even imagine getting those percentage buyers that just buy everything at a percentage. They walk up to you, show you the recent comp of 125, and then offer you like $85 for an Eichel PSA 10.
Yeah.
That right there is like the buy of the century. I think I would have to buy a collection of PSA 10 Eichels. If anything under $100, I mean, is a great deal. Already won the cup.
Oh yeah.
Looks like he's going to be on Vegas for a long time. He's going to battle it out as one of the top, 25 players in the.
Well,
I'm not gonna say in the NHL, one of the top 25 forwards in the NHL. I feel, or sorry,
I think so. I think
yeah,
so. Yeah, I think so for sure. But here's another thing. Maybe we can get into this actually, maybe in a couple of months. But like, we'll put this conversation in the vault too. The Four Nations Cup is coming up this season, right? It's the first time that we've had best on best hockey in years, since 2016. Jack Eichel is going to be representing Team USA. So you're going to have a lot of people, a lot of eyeballs on Jack Eichel, and he's going to end up being a pretty significant piece to that offense, I would imagine. Probably as like the second ish line center. Him, Matthews, Jack Hughes, they'll kind of be, 1, 2, 3. And I do believe that big events like that will see market value shoot up. Look what's happening in the Olympics. Have you seen like what cards are doing for people at the Olympics right now? It's insane
like
what's kind of going on.
I haven't really followed too. I feel like what the basketball market is probably the biggest market impacted,
The
or anything else.
basketball, and I saw one, it was it a tennis player, a swimmer? I did see there was somebody whose card market just absolutely, let me see if I can find it. I think
Was it that
Collect
the
Media. I think I read
17-year-old
about it on Collect
Canada?
Media. Say it again?
Was it the 17-year-old from Canada, that girl that won gold at
No, 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 no. It wasn't Summer McIntosh. No, she's been unbelievable though.
yeah,
She has.
crazy.
It was
Even
like more of a major sport, I believe. Hold on,
could
let
have
me
been
see if I can
soccer
track it.
too. I mean, soccer's caught a lot of, attention, obviously, with Canada's drone gate. The one market that I've tried to follow to the best of my ability is golf because you know me, I mean, I like to golf. It's not really been something that I pick up all the time. Obviously, I got the little Tiger Woods in the background action going on with the frame, but you don't really see, like, obviously, Scotty Scheffler turning up. I don't really see a lot of Scheffler cards, doing,
No, not a
doing
whole lot. Not a whole lot. The golf market, I thought the golf market was going to pick up, and I've got a couple of them. Katie Ledecky was the name that I was
Mm.
looking for, not the Canadian swimmer, but the American swimmer. And I think, when we talk about America, there's a lot more Americans than
Oh,
Canadians.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
Summer
yeah.
McIntosh had beaten Katie Ledecky, but it's the Katie Ledecky cards. She's got a 2013 SI for Kids rookie card. You can see it right here. It is the ninth highest
Sweet.
I don't know, like in like the power rankings here. What exactly was this list? I think it's just like the sports card power rankings. Yeah. So basically just people who are seeing their prices grow right now. Is it total sales? Is that where it is? I think it's in total sales actually, is where they got the money from. So Katie Ledecky has seen a price growth of over 10% over the course of this week, just because of best on best. So Jack Eichel, I think, has an opportunity, and many players might have opportunities in a best on best tournament. We could possibly see like some pricing spikes in February. So a conversation we could kind of vault at some point and have that discussion maybe once the rosters get released, like who are some guys that might be able to take advantage of, and maybe some guys who are on the radar before the rosters get released that maybe could pick up some of their cards and in hopes that they get selected and end up being part of the team and go off like that. So a little bit of speculation, a little bit. I think that's something we could do at some point later on down the road, for sure. But yeah, I think those are the players that right now you can get for pretty good value. For me, it was Shane Pinto, who you can grab his PSA 10 Young Guns in the 45 to $55 range. Fabian Zetterlund, you can get his Young Guns for 35 to $40. Elias Pettersson, $150. Jack Eichel at $125 for PSA 10. I like those plays. Which were yours, Anthony?
So I had the Arthur Kaliev PSA 10, Cole Perfetti PSA 10, Philip Tomasino PSA 10, and tread lightly with Tomasino too, because a player that's been bouncing up and down in the AHL. I have a little bit of bias because he is from the area here. When you are in Niagara, I mean, you've seen it too. People know Tomasino when they see like nice patch autos, the Young Guns PSA 10, or any type of variation with the Young Gun. People know them. So tread lightly if you are not in the area of Mississauga or Niagara Falls.
Beauty's in the high eye of the beholder, right? Like we can say that about a lot of different things. I mean, it's a saying, it's a cliche, but it's ultimately, things are cliches for a reason, ultimately. And here's the thing, like this is a perfect example of, one man's Philip Tomasino may be something to you or to something to one of the guys walking through the showroom at the St. Catharines card show, not going to be the same for somebody walking around in, let's say, a Montreal card show. There's no meaning to Tomasino, so it
Yep.
doesn't make sense. So you kind of got to also know what is your intention with this card, right? And that's what the best flippers and investors do, right? There's got to be a plan in place. So you and I, we see Philip Tomasino and we kind of see, okay, we believe that in the market that we sell in, there is a market there. If I were to bring my cards and set up at like the Edmonton show or the Montreal show, I probably wouldn't bring out Tomasinos. I would probably, I wouldn't be showing people. I don't think that there'd be many looking for it. But in St. Catharines, in Toronto, Mississauga, I think that there are going to be some people. So it also depends on what area you're in as well and what your plan is with these players when it comes to the speculations and the super low end stuff like a Tomasino. Or like a Kaliev who played in Hamilton. A lot of Bulldogs fans would love Arthur Kaliev too, which come out to the Niagara and Hamilton shows. So those things kind of got to be factored in as well. Good chat. That was fun. I'm sure we'll come up with some more young gun buys list at some point. I think there's some guys too who like low key could be on the verge of some breakouts that you could probably get at a decent price that we could look into over the next couple of weeks before the season gets going. With that, let's get to some hobby news. SPX released today. Another opportunity to go Bedard hunting. Looks like boxes were selling for about $229 Canadian per box. You get one pack. It's a one pack box. You get 5 cards, one autograph in the pack, and then 4 non-auto slash memorabilia cards. So it's a really hit or miss product for me. Like the SPX, like when you're only getting a couple of cards, like 5 cards, and it's only one autograph, man, it really stings to get like a dud rookie auto, like an Adam Ginning or like an Akito Hirose autograph. And, you miss out on obviously like a Bedard or a Carlson or a Fantilli or even like a veteran like a McDavid or a Matthews. Like it could really, really be hit or miss when it's that little of cards. It's a slot machine at that point.
Yeah, it kinda reminds me of clear cut too. I don't know how much clear
Yep.
cut you rip, but even like me, I don't rip a lot of cards, but when it comes to clear cut, at least it's that little, shot of 1 pack, 1 card. This is 1 pack, 5 cards, so maybe a little bit of insurance to ripping SPX if you are ripping it. $229 Canadian per box is what we're looking at. I saw some pretty sweet photos online too. I was looking through YouTube to see if there was any pack openings just yet. I didn't find anything when I was at work today because I wanted
I've
to
seen a
briefly.
couple. Yeah, right before we came on, I went and found a couple just to make sure I was, aware of what was going on. I saw
Yeah.
some look like some really nice inserts and like auto cards and stuff. I saw someone pull a Leo Carlson to 5 sticker auto. It
Mhm.
was like a gold looking card. It was pretty cool looking, I will say. It would be nice if it were a Bedard, but Leo Carlson still not bad. Rookie auto to 5,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
Pretty.
probably won't be buying a box of SPX. It's not, one of the ones that I look at and I'm gonna be running to. I did get an email the other day from Upper Deck about the credentials. Credentials is coming out later this month, and I now know we could probably get into it either next week or the week after. But I did get a checklist for credentials, which we know is one of
There
my
you go.
favorite sets. So that I will probably be buying a box or two of. You had written down something in the doc about SP Authentic release date. Where did you see this?
I saw it on, so didn't you see it on Mint Ink? I wanna pull it up or at least send it to you. Mint Ink was posting about it, Clout and Chara. I could send you the link and we could kinda skim through, the website. I actually had it pulled up, and then I closed it right before we went on air because I was just cleaning up the desktop, but look at $599 per box.
Yeah,
Insane.
that's been
Insane.
the that was the pre-order price since they announced a pre-order like months ago. It hasn't changed.
Yeah. Sending you this right now. There we go. I
Eh,
just text you the link.
So when is it coming out? Did they announce a release date?
So as of right now, the information that we do have available, August 30th is the release date where you are able to pick up, get shipped your box of 2023 Upper Deck SP Authentic, which is, I believe a little bit later than normal. I think the past couple of years, SP Authentic has released midsummer, not near the September long weekend. So for $599 Canadian, max of 3 allowed to be picked up per individual. I'm gonna say that I'm out on this box. I know you want to get into the conversation of would you buy it? Is it really valuable even to get into and rip this box? I
No, it's
don't
not.
know.
It's no,
I,
no. The answer is no. The answer is no. I mean, realistically, it's not ever going. Ripping will never ever be a valuable thing. Like ripping for profit is hardly ever going to work out in your favor. But at this point, it's like even if you get a Bedard Future Watch auto, what do you think that's going to go for? Like, and I'm not talking release date pricing, but think like a week later. What do you think a
I mean,
Bedard Future Watch goes for?
considering raw, right? Like just kind of off rip, right away, post it up. I'd say
Not even release day. Like release day, okay, maybe, but
I'm trying to really I would say, like, 5,000, anywhere from 5
no. You
yeah.
think?
Are you saying more or less?
Less for a
No,
raw?
buddy. No
Yeah,
way. I mean, Matthews goes for what? 6? I think Matthews is, like, 6 or 7,000.
I
There's
don't think
no
so.
way.
I
Yeah.
don't think so. Let me double check this.
Double check because I know the range. So Crosby is around, and I could be mistaken because everything's based off condition, especially with raw. But Crosby, are you video? What are you doing there?
No, I'm looking it up on my phone.
Like you were
I'm
videotaping me.
looking it up on my phone. I'm like eBay sold listings. That's what we do. I guess we could have done this actually like on air, and it would have been a good teaching tool for how we look up values of cards. Austin Matthews, the most recent raw sale of his Future Watch Auto from July 7th sold for 2,600.
That's insanely cheap.
So like, yeah, there's no chance this thing's going for 5 grand. Should it be higher or lower than Austin Matthews Future Watch Auto?
It should be lower. I don't
June
think it
8th, 2,700.
hmm.
BGS 9510 Auto went for 3,750 in May. So like I'm this seems like a pretty like 2,500 is a pretty good indicator of what the value of a Matthews is. I would not be willing to pay more for a Bedard than I would a Matthews.
I mean, that's kinda you personally, though. I think we're on the same boat. I would rather have 2 Matthews Future Watches if a Bedard's gonna be
I got hey,
5K.
I got 5 Bedard PSA 10 Young Guns. You wanna trade them for all your Matthews Young Guns?
No.
Why
No
not?
shot, no shot.
What's the difference? What's the difference?
Hey, no shot. But you
What?
know what? You know what? There are people out there that even though the price might be less for Bedard right now, they're probably all in on him, and they'd much rather have, no matter the price, a Bedard future watch than a Matthews future watch. Like when the dust settles and Bedard drops to around
Double? But double? You're gonna pay
double,
double for it?
it could be a stretch. I'm not me personally, no, but I guarantee that if there's a Matthews Future Watch for 2,500 or a Bedard Future Watch for 3 to 3,500, there will be people at shows that think that buying a Bedard for 3,500 is the better buy. Depending, take away the money, take away what they're
Like,
spending, I'm saying take away the difference of, oh, it's going to cost me more money. There will be people that say, yeah, Bedard's a better buy at 3,500 because he has that potential to reach, the top 3 future watches, which we know McDavid, Crosby, and Ovi, which
what
I
would he
don't
have
think.
what would he have to do to reach that?
I mean, he'd have to at least win a cup in his first 4 years. I mean, Crosby
Just
had
win a cup? Like, even statistically, what kind of stats would he have to put up to get into that range?
I mean, I'm not gonna advocate that he will be in that price. That's not what I'm shooting for right now. But for me, like
No, I know,
to
I'm
make
saying,
it,
like, for him to get there, what would have to happen? I'm not saying you believe
I
it
mean,
will, but what would have
at,
to
at
happen?
the bare minimum, I'd say Stanley Cup, 3 Hart trophies, 2 Rocket Richards, I don't know, maybe 2 other Stanley Cup final appearances, make the Stanley Cup finals 10 out of your 15 to 18 years of playing in the NHL. And then I think he would probably be in that conversation. But like I said, like that's a
So
lot.
things that Connor McDavid has never done, you
Yeah.
expect that Bedard would have to do those things for that to reach that price?
And I'm not saying that he will
No,
do those things.
I know, but, like, if that's what has to happen for that to be worth it,
Yeah.
how is it possibly a good investment? There's, like, a 1% chance that it happens.
Hey, then shout out anyone that's listening right now that, twiddling your fingers, just waiting to rip into some SP Authentic Future Watch because I don't think that it's going to be down the road a good price or sorry, a
I
good investment considering the price.
No, it's not at
Not
all.
into it.
To me, like, I see it settling in, like, between 1,200 and at that and 1,500 is where I see Bedard's kinda numbers settling in at.
And
Maybe could stretch to 2 grand, but
yeah,
I don't see it being more than Matthews.
I feel like $1,000 is pretty fair relatively for Bedard. I mean, considering, look at Jack Hughes' future watches. Jack Hughes goes for around 1,000 to 1,300 for a
I
future
can look
watch.
it up.
Pedersen goes for around 500 to $650 for a future watch, and I'm all talking raw here. So for Bedard to be in that $2,000 range, I personally think, I'm sure you agree too, that's overpriced considering and comparing to other players. Like even a Cale Makar future watch doesn't even go for $2,000 when it probably should, because that's how good he is.
Yeah. Jack Hughes, yeah, about 1,200 bucks for a raw Jack Hughes Future Watch Auto.
Yeah.
PSA 10 was two grand.
Yeah, Eric just had one and he moved off from it. So
Someone got a snipe. I don't know if this is a real sale. Looks like someone may have got a snipe on May 31st, paid $1,000 for a PSA 10.
that's pretty cheap. Unless it was a mistake.
22 bids. Like it's not as though it's only like a one bid thing. I don't know. That's interesting. But
It's
anyways, I like just the whole point of having this conversation was pretty much just going to be like, let's say it's a $2,000 card at $600 plus tax, Canadian to buy it. Like you're looking at what's 600 times 13% tax? You're looking at $678 to buy a box. You legitimately would have to get one in every 4 boxes to even make your
yeah,
money. You'd have
yeah.
to get one in every 4 boxes to make your money back.
It's crazy.
That that like we obviously know that that is not even remotely close to what's going to be happening there.
And
Now there's other stuff that you could get obviously in the box, but like that's how ridiculous it is to pay $600 to get the top chase that'll probably end up being like $1,000 or
and are you ready for
$2,000.
dude, you're not even ready for the worst part of all this. It's not the price of the box, what Bedard's gonna cost, what it's gonna be on release day, what it's gonna be down the road, what needs to be down, 10 years down the road to get to McDavid's status. The worst part of this that I was reading when I was going through this list I saw in Clouts and Chara, and I quote, every box contains on average at least one autographed Future Watch rookie card.
Mhm.
One Future Watch rookie card. Only one. That's ridiculous to me. I'm gonna go.
It's been like that for like 3 years now,
No, no, no,
I
no,
think.
no. I understand, but you're gonna tell me that you're gonna sell a box for double the price of what's normally sold for, and
The
it's
Bedard
only
tax,
gonna.
brother.
No, man. I think it's
Bedard tax.
actually. I don't think it's fair to people that rip a box, even keep a box for a year, spend $600, hold on to it, rip it after a year, pull out a $10 future watch and a bunch of base cards to go along with it. It's just an absolute scary sight to see if you don't get that Bedard on release day. But hey, if you get it, I guess you're laughing. I mean, considering
If you're lucky and you pull it, yes. But there is a significantly lower percentage than 25% chance of you pulling a Bedard out of that card. That would be outrageous if those were your pull rates for a Connor Bedard future watch auto. But hey, it's for the fun of the rip, I guess, and that's a big reason why too. And again, this is maybe a conversation we can get into next week. Like breaking has become such a big thing because things are just getting a little overpriced and they can't afford to buy a full box. So it's like, all right, I'll buy into a break and I'll just buy and hopefully I get a Chicago Blackhawks spot. And that could be the way that I end up with my Bedard. You buy into a case for whatever it is, a few $100, and it gives you more opportunity possibly. But yeah, $600 is a crazy price. Plus tax, looking at $678 for this
crazy.
box, and it's a absolute crapshoot of whether or not you're going to get the value that you need to get out of this box. So yeah, I'm out. I'm out on
Oh,
SPA
for
for
sure.
sure.
For sure.
Uh, all right, show and tell time. Did you pick up anything this weekend?
Nothing for me. Nothing for me. You know me, I was at the cottage, like I said, enjoyed it on the lake. I wasn't able to make it to the show. I know we were talking about it, and I wasn't too sure if maybe on my way home I'd stop in, or maybe if we got home early enough, I'd try and make my way out, get that end of show deal. A couple pickups like we talked about, players that I have my eye on. But for me, I don't think anything even came in the mail. I guess there was I'm waiting on a Jean-Luc Foudy Young Gun or Future Watch inscribed, and that's
Mhm.
pretty much it. I've been checking the mailbox for it the past couple days, but laying low. And I know we're gonna talk about the upcoming shows that I'll be attending a show this weekend, so I will have pickups 100% coming up, and we'll get into that. But yeah, nothing for me. I know you have lots to get into.
Well, I wouldn't say lots, but yeah, I was at the Michelangelo show over or Michelangelo show over the weekend, the Hamilton Comic Con thing, Collecticon thing that they do at every Monday long weekend. Good show, great show, always a good turnout. Let me pull up. I sent pictures to my email that I can pull up. I scoured the dollar boxes, but I mainly grabbed a bunch of football, and then I grabbed just a couple of decent hockey cards as well. Let's see. Let's get this screen shared. There we go. Alrighty. So here's what we ended up with. Let's see if I can probably make these a little bit bigger. I think
No,
so.
it's good. No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
I can see.
Good.
All right.
Yeah, yeah, it looks
So
good.
So we picked up, I got a 13-14 Panini Select Jamie Benn, red refractor, silver, number to 35. Thought that was a pretty cool pickup. I ended up getting it with this Tavares. We were like $5 off apart on a deal, and I was like, throw this in, and all right, let's make it work. Let's make it happen, or $10 or
Yeah.
something with that. I was like, let's make that happen. And he's like, okay, sounds good. So that was a deal. I got Lucas Dostal, Allure rookie auto, red rainbow rookie auto for Lucas Dostal, who I think is going to be a tremendous goaltender. Really, really solid goalie for the Anaheim Ducks. So was happy to get that. Patrick Laine. This was an interesting pickup. Patrick Laine, black diamond rookie signatures. It's cool. It's like almost, I don't even know how to explain what this is. It's almost like a chalkboard kind of thing right here, and then it just a nice silver scripture, and it's number to 49. It's a rookie auto. So Patrick Laine, rookie auto, number to 49. Another interesting player, because if he gets traded and he turns back the clock a little bit, I mean, at a cheap price that I got it for. I think it was a very, very well, well worth buy. And then Alexi Protas, talking about future watch autos. This is one that somebody opened up one day and was like, ugh, a $5, $10 future
Yeah.
watch auto. Yeah, well, I'll pick it up and I'll see. He signed not a big deal, but he signed a multi-year deal at
Like
like
a 3-year deal.
yeah, it was like 3 years at like 2.5 million per season for the Capitals. So, he's a middle six kind of guy. We'll see what happens. He's a young player in the Capitals, and he might get an opportunity at some point. So it's kind of all right. Let's see. I got these three together in one deal, so I got a little bit off of them, and then these two in another deal. That was pretty much the big pickups that I got for hockey. And then I grabbed this card as well. Is that going to come up? Yeah. This is a pretty
Oh,
cool pickup. It's not
that's
hockey,
sweet.
obviously, but yeah, Mickey Mantle, Topps 58 All-Star selection card. This is a pretty cool pickup. It's super OC, obviously, but it's really clean for a card that was printed in 1959. Like to the point where I was kind of second guessing its legitimacy, to be honest with you. But I took it to a dealer who deals in vintage, and he was like, "No, it looks good to me." He's said I should probably send it in for grading because it's so clean. Uh,
Hmm.
we'll see, possibly. But yeah, that's those are the two kind of bigger pickups that I was able to make over the weekend at the card show. Nothing major, nothing major. And then I had a bunch of dollar bin buys. And then I picked up two massive. I don't know if I told you about this. I tell you about the big 4-row boxes that I bought, the collection.
What, this weekend? No.
Yeah, yeah, actually, yeah. I was a marketplace. Marketplace is a good spot to buy some stuff off people. By the way, use it as your friend. Off marketplace, I bought it was two 4-row boxes filled with like rookies, inserts, numbered cards, parallels. But it was like baseball and basketball, so it wasn't hockey, which is probably why I didn't
Me?
tell you. you probably didn't care about not hockey stuff. But yeah, so that was, I could go through all that over the next week and, pull out some of the good stuff and maybe try and bulk out some stuff. As much like Bowman first and prospect cards and stuff. So it should be a fun little project over the next week or so. See what's in there. I bought them blind. I just saw the boxes. We agreed on a price. I looked at a few of them and went through them, and I'm happy with it. I'll do well. I certainly think I will. But yeah,
Yeah,
so that's what I got up to this past weekend, and this upcoming weekend we got two shows in the GTA area. Got VaunaCon that'll be going on Saturday, August 10th from 10 a.m. to 4:30, and then on Sunday, August 11th from 10:30 to 4:30, Sports Car TCG show in Mississauga. I believe that is going to be at
Royal
uh,
Canadian
the
Legion.
Legion. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Legion
yeah,
in
yep.
Mississauga. So I probably the Sunday show I think I'll be at. I don't know if I'll make it to VaunaCon, but
Yeah,
the Legion show on Sunday, I'm thinking I'll be
yeah.
there.
A little bit closer for me too, driving wise. I've been to VonCon a couple years. It's a good mix of everything. It's a fun little day, especially if you're into like comic books and magazines, sports, all kinds of different things. But I won't be able to make it out there Saturday. It is a good show, so if you are attending, have be sure that you will enjoy yourself. I did enjoy myself at VonCon the past couple years. I was actually just looking at my phone today, and there was a couple 2 years ago today videos of me and Eric and all kinds of deals we were getting done, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I'll be there at the Saturday or the Sunday show, the Mississauga Sports Card and TCG show, Sunday, August 11th. I'm fired up for that. My first show in I think 2 or 3 weeks. Not too far from my house, and I've never been too. So to go to a show that I've never been to is always a little bit fun and a little bit of a surprise too. So looking forward to it.
I might try and reach out and see if there's an open table. This might be a show to try and pick up a table at. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. No,
But I'll be
my
there.
only reason why I haven't really thought about it was because I've never set up there before. So I was a little bit unsure. I was like, you know what? Let me just go see what it's like. If I want to leave early, I could kind of still have my Sunday back. Hit the golf course. You guys know me, big golfer. So keeping the options open. We'll play it by minute.
Play it by minute. That's it. Not by ear. You play it by minute. All right,
Nope.
buddy. Good show. Anything else you want to get off your chest before we duck out of here?
That's it, man. I'm fired up. Good episode. One of our better ones for sure. And yeah, if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube because we're also on Spotify now for everyone driving to work. I know a lot of people are doing those student internships. Me too. We're almost there, almost the end of the summer. And make sure if you're driving around to download those episodes, put the notifications on, and take a good listen.
Yeah, absolutely. The Hockey Card Haven podcast on YouTube now available also on Spotify. That'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. Again, you can subscribe to us right here on YouTube and also on Spotify. We'll be back next Wednesday with another episode of the Hockey Card Haven podcast.